Any hope that the state's health crisis was under control has been dashed. Today marks the worst day since the start of the pandemic. It's also the deadliest of the current outbreak. 5 more lives have been lost in Sydney. Another 262 people have the virus, and less than half were isolating while infectious. The Hunter and Upper Hunter are now in lockdown. We'll have more on that soon. We have a team of reporters in the affected areas. First to Kathleen Calderwood at Westmead. Kathleen, this has been another devastating day.
Jeremy, not only are 5 families grieving, but more and more people are getting sick. The case numbers just keep going up. The Premier says the virus is still spreading in workplaces, and vaccinating essential workers from West and Southwestern Sydney who keep the city moving is the only way out of this. Tragedy in every corner of the city. 5 deaths at 5 hospitals, marking the deadliest day of this outbreak.
It's horrible that during this time families are losing their loved ones.
Today there were 5 more deaths and families affected, and I send my sincere condolences to everyone who's grieving today.
4 of the people who died were unvaccinated. The 5th had 1 shot of AstraZeneca in May.
If you have had your vaccine, first dose of AstraZeneca within the last 4 weeks, now is the time to get your second dose. Please get your second dose. Do not delay for the 3 months.
Officials are still searching for the source of more than half of today's cases. In total, there's 262 new infections. That's another record for the state. And the economic toll continues to bite. The Service New South Wales grants program has been marred by delays.
I did receive from preliminary advice yesterday to say our systems will be improving from tomorrow. So we just ask people to be patient in terms of the wait times.
I was trying to contact the Service New South Wales. I was on the phone for 2 hours, but it's just got disconnected. We weren't able to talk to anyone.
Mickey Huang only opened her shop in Cabramatta last year, so she doesn't have financial records for 2019, making the application process even more difficult.
There's a lot of information to process. For a new business, just get stuck in the middle.
Adding pressure to businesses is that most transmission is still happening at work.
Our ability to vaccinate those mobile people coming from those areas where the virus is circulating will help us bring those case numbers down.
One glimmer of hope is that the state will receive an extra 180,000 Pfizer vaccines. The Premier says they'll be funnelled to authorised workers in West and Southwestern Sydney. But it comes with a condition from the Prime Minister that doses which had been redirected from the country to Year 12s in Sydney now need to be replaced.
I don't regret that for a second. I know that's a hard thing to say, and I know people will probably be very upset with me that I've said that. But having Year 12 be able to complete their HSC is a priority for our government.
They'll start getting their jabs on Monday. Kathleen Calderwood, ABC News, Sydney.
COVID has again crept into regional New South Wales. More than 600,000 people are now under lockdown in the Hunter and Upper Hunter areas. It's been prompted by 5 new cases of coronavirus. Nick Hose is in Newcastle for us tonight. Nick, this lockdown started 2 hours ago. How are locals there feeling about this news?
Well, Jeremy, what would normally be one of the busiest streets here in Newcastle is tonight deserted. Parents raced to pick their kids up from school, testing sites were inundated, and supermarket shelves were once again left bare. This lockdown is set for 1 week, but many locals fear we won't be out of it by then. The community was asked to come forward for testing, and they heeded the call.
I work in aged care, so I'm scared that it could affect that as well. So it's very terrifying.
It's only a matter of time, really.
I'd just rather get tested so I know that I'm all right and not give it to anyone else.
Wastewater with a high viral load has been found at 3 sewage treatment plants. And 5 people have tested positive, including 3 children.
There will be a 1-week lockdown in the Hunter and Upper Hunter region.
Parents at Maitland Christian School were urged by text to pick up their children after 2 students living on the Central Coast tested positive. A Target store at Glendale has been listed as an exposure site, and a student at Newcastle University has also tested positive. The lockdown applies to 8 local government areas. They are Newcastle, Lake Macquarie, Maitland, at Port Stephens, Singleton, Dungog, Muswellbrook and Cessnock. Increasing levels of the virus have also been detected in sewage in the Armidale area in the state's north.
Obviously, we are very concerned about regional New South Wales.
That concern once again led to panic buying, with long lines and some shelves left bare. It's believed a party here at Blacksmiths Beach on Friday night caused the outbreak. Authorities are now investigating whether a group from Western Sydney attended the party. Police have issued a warning for anyone doing the wrong thing.
You will be detected and you will be fined or breached for these public health orders if you do the wrong thing.
It's a warning welcomed by locals.
Just respect everybody's space and stay where you are.
The stay-at-home order will remain in force until next Friday. Nick Hose, ABC News, Newcastle.
For days, the Premier had been warning us to brace for things to get worse. Let's bring in state political reporter Ashley Raper. Ashley, we've hit a grim new milestone of cases and deaths. Is the Premier offering any new strategies?
No, she isn't, Jeremy. Despite the case numbers and mounting death toll, the Premier maintains that the restrictions in place are enough. Gladys Berejiklian did concede that the case numbers aren't where anybody wants them to be, but instead of talking about getting them to zero or close to zero, the Premier pivoted again to vaccination. It seems she's focused on vaccinating the state out of this crisis, but that will take time. Even if New South Wales hits the target of 6 million vaccines by the end of the month, that may mean some restrictions could ease, but not all.
Ashley, the Premier also hinted at incentives for people who do get the jab.
The Premier had a very clear message today for workers, especially those unable to do their job in lockdown. That was, if they want to return to work, they need to get the vaccine. The government is developing a plan for post-August, and vaccine incentives are being considered as part of that. Gladys Berejiklian hinted that vaccination will be crucial for workers in the areas of concern in the west and southwest, but also for those providing services like hairdressers, beauty therapists. And Gladys Berejiklian said that the government will feel much more comfortable allowing those industries to restart, Jeremy, if it knows that both the worker and client are vaccinated.
Ashley Raper reporting. For some schools in Sydney's lockdown, hotspots reopening for Year 12 students is about more than just grades. Some don't have stable internet at home, and others rely on school to provide a safe space and sometimes even food.
For Michaela Hill and Caitlin Burgess, it's not just their schoolwork that suffered during lockdown.
My confidence levels have dropped, definitely, and my motivation, because I'm normally used to having to get up and be in a routine.
The Year 12 students fear they won't get through their HSC exams unless they return to the classroom.
Understanding the content online, I feel like when I sit the HSC, it's just I'm not gonna know anything because I'm not taking in the information as I would if I was at school on campus, face-to-face learning.
Both go to Warrakirri College, a small school in Campbelltown, providing food, safety and an education for disadvantaged students.
Many of our students don't have a stable internet connection. Many didn't have computers at home.
So the plan is to reopen on August 16 for HSC students.
About 65% of our students have anxiety and depression, and that makes a very stressful time much harder for these kids.
It's a balancing act principals are facing in these COVID-riddled LGAs. Around the corner, St Patrick's College will remain closed during HSC trials.
We're actually really concerned that we could be putting their health at risk, but also the health of the staff.
It joins dozens of other schools that have opted for online assessments instead, until it's safer to go back to the classroom. Up to 80 HSC students here at St Patrick's College will get the Pfizer jab next week. Buses are being organised to pick up the girls from school and take them to the Year 12 vaccination centre at Sydney Olympic Park.
I actually think that's the first step to ensure that we will have students present in some form for a HSC exam on site.
A lockdown lesson that no one rule fits for all schools. Cameron Gock, ABC News, Sydney.
A 34-year-old woman has died from a rare blood clotting condition after receiving the AstraZeneca vaccine. The woman died in New South Wales yesterday. She had received 1 dose. It's the 7th death linked to the vaccine. 6.8 million doses of AstraZeneca have been given out so far.